Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the program. Now, as we've been saying, it is Women's Month. In Women's Month, we commemorate the 20,000 brave women who marched to the Union building 66 years ago to fight against the unjust pass laws. Now, historically, women have played a major role in the struggle against apartheid in South Africa. Now, whether the struggle is in Palestine or on the continent in Africa, women have been at the forefront, which brings me to my guest. It's Dr. Ferrial Adam. She's one of the leading experts in ensuring citizens have access to clean, safe, and sustainable water. She is a climate change activist who heads up Water CAN, which stands for Water Community Action Network. And it's a subsidiary of the organization Undoing Tax Abuse, OUTA. And it's made up of water guardians who all advocate for clean, safe, and sustainable water. Uh, she joins me now. Ferrial, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for joining us, and I'd like to also welcome our viewers, Jennifer and Ahmed, as well as the others that are watching on our streaming services. Jazakallah khair. We do apologize for being a bit late, but we do also are very very thankful for the support. Ferrial, I just want to just ask you the first question, which is Water Community Action Network, very interesting organization. Everybody does know OUTA because of the toll gates and everything and giving the government hell on that. But tell us about your advocacy when it comes to water.
So, if we look at some of the reports that actually have come out from government. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, there are two reports. One is a blue drop report, which gives you
Mm.
the state of your drinking water in the country, and the green drop report, which gives you the state of our water sewage plants. If we look at those reports, the picture is really bleak, and this is government's own kind of statistics. So water can actually came about because we're saying that we know that local government is failing. We know that we have a problem in terms of quality of water, quantity of water, as well as our sewage treatment plants. And we need to be the eyes and ears on the ground. And that's how water can basically emerged.
Okay, so that is the actual effort that has been put towards making sure that people have clean, safe, and sustainable water. Um, Now, in terms of the work you do in the climate justice space, um, I know that water and climate justice is intrinsically linked, but I'm interested to hear it from you.
Yes, it is linked. And so as an activist, you kind of have to maneuver and work in different fields and different sectors. So I work as an activist with the Climate Justice Charter movement. And if we look at climate justice, I mean, the issues around food, there's issues around energy, there's issues about land, there's issues about water. And specifically, if we look at water, um, in South Africa, we actually heading to a point where, some of the experts are saying that by 2025, and that is around the corner, we will be running out of clean drinking water because most of the water has been allocated. And if you add on top of that, South Africa is naturally a scarce country. And if you add on top of that, climate change, you basically, you don't have the amounts. We can't use the same kind of methods of assuming how much will be in the future because we just don't know how bad climate change is going to impact on us. And KZN, the
Hmm.
rain bomb that happened in KZN this year is kind of the picture of what we're going to experience with climate change. So we have to look at all of these issues under this big umbrella of climate justice.
Hmm. You know that the comment that you made, Farrell, about by 2025 we will be running out of water. I once heard a saying that in the future we will not be fighting wars over wealth, but we'll be fighting wars over water. I think if you can explain that to me, because I always
Yeah,
felt I always thought that was quite remarkable as a young child growing up. But yes.
yeah. No, it's exactly that, Lukman, because I remember those stories as well growing up, right? And you keep thinking, this is like futuristic stuff. It's never going to happen to us. But
Mm,
it's happening now. And it's not just, when this whole thing of water wars came about, it was about between countries. So, for example, if you look at Kenya, Kenya and Ethiopia, and Ethiopia and Egypt, they having water issues right now, in terms of conflict. But the reality is that with climate change, and as water gets less and less and less, it's no longer going to be amongst countries or against, country against country. It's going to happen within a country. So what you're going to find, for example, is that let's take South Africa, right, as an example, where we have places that is experiencing day zero. We have places that are experiencing drought, shortages, etc. The wealthy, they can drop a borehole and they have water in the yard. The poor don't have that. The poor are reliant on government being able to, supply water tankers, etc. Now, to add to all of that, we're dealing with issues of corruption. And, I talk about the borehole bourgeoisie because they're safe. They can be okay. They can be off-grid. But then I also talk about the water tanker mafia, who are actually abusing the poor who are most affected by the shortages of water.
Wow. The water tanker mafia and the borehole bourgeoisie. I'm going to steal those words from you if you don't mind. But it's definitely a serious issue, Ferrial. And okay, now the active citizen science work that you've been doing in communities, how has this helped to monitor water pollution in communities?
Okay.
And I think that's quite an important work. But I have on the screen the Women in Water conference that's going to be taking place. I'm going to ask Sadiq to take that down for now because I want you to talk to that a bit later in the interview. But tell us about the active citizen science work.
Okay, so what we know is that the state of our quality of water is in a bad state, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we don't, like, each of us open our tap and we just drink the water. We don't really know the quality of the water that we are drinking. This is something that should be publicized. Now, a simple example, Lukman, is if you buy a bottle of water from the shop, which I'm not saying you should, right, because we avoid privatized water, it will give you, the percentage of calcium, the percentage of whatever, the chemicals in it, what you can find in your water. So it gives you the quality of the water.
Right.
We should be able to understand the quality of our water in our taps. That is not being done. I do know that local governments do test. They do send this information to national government. But we are saying, let us start testing on the ground so that we can also see the state of our water. And we need to then be able to test. And, for example, the levels of E. coli in the country.
Right.
There are many towns, Makanda, which is the previously known as Grahamstown. People cannot drink the water from their taps because there's sewage leaks into the water. And the sewage leaks are across the country. They're happening at a local government level. And we're saying, let's get people and citizens across the country to test the water, add this data to a map that we are trying to develop. So what you will end up with is people's data on the quality of water that they're drinking. So we're looking at tap water, river water, dams, reservoirs. We're having a whole thing of 14th to the 18th of September, where we want people across the country to test water, so that we can create this map, and then people in their municipalities can hold government accountable. Because when you deal with environmental issues, often people tend to hold back because experts or officials start using science. And science becomes that barrier. It locks us out of our basic knowledge of our lives. And we're saying we need to democratize science. We need to take back that knowledge, and we need to have ownership of our water.
Ownership of our water, absolutely. I mean, South Africa is still one of those countries where you can drink water from the tap in most city centers. But like you say, we need to take control of our water sources, and also to see the quality of water. And when there's a problem, we need to obviously bring it to the attention of the authorities. Ferrial, very importantly, my next question, is twofold, because I want to talk to the webinar that's happening tomorrow. Obviously, because it's happening in Women's Month, it's got a lot to do. All your speakers are women, and my question is, why is it important for women and young people to be involved in this type of social justice, particularly what you'll be talking to tomorrow? And I'm going to ask Sadiq to show us that poster as well.
So the issue with climate justice, and the whole point of climate justice, is that we know that with the impacts of climate change, it is the most vulnerable in a society who are going to be hardest hit. And when I say the most vulnerable, it's the poor communities, and specifically in a context of South Africa, it's women, because it is, in many cases, women are given the responsibility to find water for the house, to make sure that there's water for cooking, etc. So that becomes a burden on them. And that is why there's a direct link in terms of water and women and climate justice, right? Because if you have the impacts of climate change, and you have flooding, and you have droughts, the people who are hardest hit are women, and then of course children, and poorer women and poorer children. So that's the kind of linkage that we're trying to create. But also, there's another aspect to all of this, and I found it in working with an organization called Gender for Climate Change, where they say women are not only the victims, they also agents of change.
Right.
They're also innovators. And that is what tomorrow's webinar is about. It's about looking at the different roles we can play. So on that webinar, we have a scientist who's an expert and who understands the systems that we have in our country. She's been part of the team that's written the Blue Drop and Green Drop report. We also have a woman that started a river cleanup, because her kids were kept saying that there's something wrong with the river. And so she went with them and they started cleaning it. And then there's also a community activist who has started a food garden, because COVID, hit so many people so hard. And the challenges she faced with trying to have water for her food garden. And those are the kinds of different challenges that women are facing, but they are dealing with it and they're taking it head on.
Okay, so the scientist will be Taryn Johnston. Aisha, I think it's
Lahair. Sorry, it was a spelling error.
So supposed to be Lahair, right? She's the one that was cleaning her local river, and of course, Bulelwa sounds like the food. Or is it the other way around?
Yeah, Aisha Lahair is the scientist.
Who's the scientist?
Aisha Lahair.
Aisha Lahair is the scientist, and Taryn is the activist, and Bulelwa is the one with the food
garden. Yes,
food garden. Yes. Fantastic. I thought I just guessed, but then Dr. Ferrial Adam, you're hosting it as well, so that was not difficult to. But I wish you every success tomorrow, and thank you very much for talking to us. And water is it is the essence of life, and I believe that what you are doing is absolutely important. And I thank you very much for talking to us. And I'm just going to ask Sadiq to put us back onto the screen. There you are. And Jazakallah khair for talking to us, Ferrial. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we go?
Thank you so much for having me on your show, Lukman. But I think also we are appealing to people to join our testing from the 14th to the 18th. Please go, try and get into, my email address is available, or even go onto our website and find out more. I'm happy to give my email. You can share my email. You have it.
Okay.
But please, we really need people to come on board and test water wherever you are. We have developed a testing kit that is easily accessible, and that it's made for people on the ground to be able to test their water.
Fantastic. Ferrial, thank you so much once again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you. You are welcome. Ferrial Adam, she's the manager at Water Can, which is standing for Community Action Network. It's a subsidiary of OUTA, Organization Undoing Tax. Jennifer Manicum and Ahmed Juma, thank you so much for your viewership. and the 13 others that have been with us on this live stream as well. Remember, you too can watch all the interviews on Salam Media on our live streaming platforms, which include Facebook, Twitter, as well as YouTube. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we go to Kenya, who are having an election next week. Stay tuned.